Bakkegard, former high school English and theater teacher.
And I'm Nikki Vradenburg, former kindergarten through 5th grade teacher.
And today we're going to do a quick chat of strategies to help build a positive, vibrant classroom community. So this is something that is near and dear to my heart, even as a high school teacher. I think that frequently we get so focused on content in high school that we forget that if we're not connecting with the kids first, it doesn't really matter how great the lessons are. So I started every year with a quick student survey where I would try to find out things about my students, like little things, just what do they prefer to be called? When is their birthday? What is their favorite snack? And then at the high school level, I asked other things too, like are you in any sports? Do you have a job? Do you have responsibilities for taking care of younger siblings at home? Do you have computer access and Wi-Fi at home? I just wanted to get a snapshot of what might be some of the obstacles that my students would face and help me be able to prepare to be able to support them. But then I also got some fun information from them, like snacks, and then that would help me plan, just infuse a little bit of positivity throughout the month. Like we would do a birthday day and I would bring a range of snacks for the different people who had birthdays that month, and we would just do a little acknowledgement and then we would have a couple snacks in the classroom. So some simple things like that I would start at the beginning of the year just to get to know my students a little bit so I could talk to them.
For me, in the elementary setting, I worked with little kids who ran through the door every day bursting with things to tell me and their classmates, everything from their pets to the weather to something new that they got to do in that weekend. And so it was very clear early on that providing a space for them to share those things had to be the first thing that we did every day. So when I taught K1, I had a sharing circle. It was the treasured part of our day. We never skipped sharing circle. There was always time. We sat in a circle, we went around the circle, we held a ball, and that was the talking ball. So when you had the ball, you could talk. When you didn't have the ball, your voice was quiet. Everyone got to share something that was happening, and then we could invite a couple of comments for students to connect with one another and communicate with each other. Some days I would direct the conversation about, tell me about something you did with your parents last weekend. Tell me about a pet you have at home. Other days I would just let them free share. I always let them pass if they didn't feel like talking, but then I'd always have a day when they couldn't pass, so it was no pass Friday. So everybody's got to share something they're excited to do this weekend. Other days, and if I felt like we were having a hard time getting along on the playground or I didn't hear the polite words in the classroom, I would have compliment circle. And that's where when it was your turn, you could choose to give or receive a compliment. And if you wanted to receive a compliment, I asked for volunteers to give you a compliment. I really challenged kids to say something that complimented the person, not their appearance. In K1, we had to say things like, something other than you're a good friend. And it really worked on help them build their vocabulary and start to see specific things about one another. When I moved into 4th and 5th grade, it wasn't cool to sit in a circle anymore. So we gathered in a roundup sort of thing. And we had morning meeting. And I used index cards with their names on them. And when I pulled your name, you got to share. Same thing, we would do compliments, we would do moments of wonder or moments of excitement, but we also did roses and thorns, and that's where at 4th and 5th grade it was important that we acknowledge the good things and the stuff that was bugging them, and it was their opportunity to share that with their classmates and with me. Morning meeting was another part of our day that we never skipped. And it became a really important part of getting to know one another. And I shared too, as a teacher. I shared the things that were important to me, and that was how we all got to be human to one another.
I love that something that you do in elementary school, pre-K, kindergarten through 5th grade, is similar to something I would do even with my high school, my 9th through 12th graders. We would do moments of joy, and I would ask, usually on Fridays, all right, we're going to do a moment of joy, and the goal is to share something good that happened this week. And it can be as simple and little as, I finished all my homework this week. I turned everything in. But helping students really choose to focus on something good that is happening in their life. There are a lot of teenagers who can get into funks and kind of get down. And I agree with your point that we need to acknowledge the thorns. And so even moments of joy was a time where people could say, I feel better today than I felt yesterday because this has been bothering me. So even through moments of joy, they could vent a little bit, but through that difficulty, try to find something positive that was going on. And I loved it because it was a simple way for thinking about positive mindset, but it really helped me get to know my students, because if a student said something like, I'm really excited to see my dad this weekend, that's a pretty huge clue to me that that is not something that usually happens. And then I had a system where after moments of joy, when students would start then working in class, I would try to just jot down a couple little notes so that on Monday, particularly those things that raised little bells in my head, when that student came in on Monday, I could specifically say, so how was your visit with your dad? And just have that short little conference at the door before class came, so that I'm taking the moments of joy and I'm letting it infuse the rest of some of my conversations with students. And I agree with you, Nikki, that I always shared something. And I tried to be honest of saying, you know, this has been a rough week for me. Of this happened, I've been really busy, but I really love and I'm excited that I accomplished this week. Or I love that I'm getting to see, and I would try to focus and model that I too get overwhelmed and I get frustrated and negative, but I'm going to find that joy in my life and what's going on. So I love that that's a strategy that you can use K-12 and just hear from your students, find out what's going on. So we're going to be sharing these and some other strategies, as well as gathering your ideas for how you create a positive classroom culture on August 14th at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Join us for the chat and fire up for the new school year.